On the edge of a barren planet, where the red sand stretched for miles and the sky burned with a pale orange light, a young woman named Lyra began her day. She lived in a small, crumbling shelter with her sick mother, who could barely move from her thin, fragile bed. Every day, Lyra risked her life to bring water, a rare treasure on this dry world. The journey was long, and danger waited at every step. Lyra tightened the straps of her worn-out bag and stepped out into the heat. The wind whipped grains of sand across her face, stinging like tiny knives. Her eyes scanned the horizon, always alert for the creatures that hunted in the open plains. Sharp claws and glowing eyes were the least of her worries, for some dangers were invisible, and they moved faster than she could run. She thought of her mother and felt a pang in her chest. Her mother's pale face flashed in her mind, her weak hands reaching out as if asking for water. Lyra had promised herself that she would never fail her, no matter the cost. Even if the sun burned her skin or the sand cut her feet, she would bring the water home. The first hours of her walk were quiet, almost peaceful, but she knew the calm would not last. A faint sound in the distance made her stop, her ears straining. Was it the wind, or was something moving closer? She could not tell, and the uncertainty made her heart race. As she moved forward, she noticed footprints in the sand, too big for any of the small desert creatures. They seemed human, but she knew humans rarely traveled this far alone. Her mind filled with questions, but she pushed them away, focusing on the path ahead. The water well was still miles away, and every minute wasted was a risk. Suddenly, a shadow flickered across the dunes, fast and silent. Lyra froze, gidip herbaktaitli. Her breath caught in her throat as she tried to see clearly. Was it an animal, a person, or something else she had never seen? The shadow vanished as quickly as it appeared, leaving only the wind and silence. Shaking off her fear, Lyra continued, telling herself that imagination could be dangerous in the desert. She had learned long ago to trust her instincts, but not to let fear control her. Still, a part of her could not forget the shadow, the way it had moved, almost like it had been watching her. The sun climbed higher, and the heat pressed down on her. Her throat was dry, and her legs ached from the long journey. Yet she did not stop, for she knew that giving up was not an option. Her mother needed her, and nothing else mattered. Hours passed, and the landscape seemed to stretch endlessly. The red dunes were like waves frozen in time, and each step forward felt heavier than the last. Then, in the distance, she saw it, the water well, a small glimmer of hope in the harsh desert. Relief filled her for a moment, but she could not celebrate yet, for the well was often dangerous. Stories told by travelers warned of the desert's traps, of creatures that attacked those who dared to approach the water. Lyra's hands trembled as she reached the edge of the well. She could see the water shimmering, clear and bright under the scorching sun. She leaned over carefully, filling her container slowly, every movement measured and quiet. Then, just as she prepared to leave, a sound echoed behind her. A faint crunch, like footsteps on sand, but heavier, deliberate. Her heart stopped, and she turned slowly, scanning the horizon. Nothing was there, yet the feeling of being watched was stronger than ever. Lyra knew she could not stay. She had to move quickly and carefully. With the water safely in her bag, she began the long journey back. Every shadow seemed to move, every sound grew louder. The desert, which had been empty for hours, suddenly felt alive with unseen eyes. As she ran across the dunes, she could not shake the feeling that someone was following her. She did not know if it was friend or foe or something beyond her understanding. But one thing was certain. Her life had changed, and the desert had more secrets than she could imagine. The journey home was only the beginning, and the shadow that watched her that day would return in ways she could not yet understand. The desert was quieter now, but the silence was heavy, almost alive. Lyra's heart still pounded from the strange shadow at the well, and every grain of sand seemed to whisper warnings. She clutched her bag tightly, feeling the precious water sloshing inside, each drop a lifeline for her sick mother. The journey back should have been simple, familiar, but something was different. A faint glow appeared on the horizon, flickering like a small star. It was impossible. No human had ever ventured this far, and no machine should have survived the harsh desert. Curiosity battled fear inside her, and for a moment she froze, unable to decide whether to investigate or flee. Then a sound echoed through the dunes, sharp and deliberate. Footsteps, heavy but careful, moving in her direction. She spun around, her eyes scanning the horizon, but nothing appeared, only the endless red waves of sand. The desert had tricks, but this felt deliberate, a presence with purpose, watching her every move. Lyra's mind raced, imagining what it could be, another traveler, a desert predator, or something she had never known. Her instincts screamed for caution, yet a part of her felt drawn forward, as if the desert itself was guiding her. She remembered the tales of the old world, stories her mother whispered when she was a child. Humans with strange powers, visitors from distant planets, beings who moved unseen and changed fate with their actions. The glow shifted, closer now, illuminating a path across the dunes. She noticed the sand was disturbed, like tracks of something huge, yet elegant. Not animal, not human, something else, something intelligent. Every nerve in her body told her to run, but curiosity held her, frozen between fear and wonder. Suddenly, a wind rose from nowhere, carrying whispers, almost voices, through the air. It was faint, barely audible, but her ears caught words she could not understand, like a language older than time. Her heart raced, and sweat ran down her brow, but she did not move back. Something, or someone, was calling her, and the desert had secrets it was ready to reveal. Then, from the shadow of a tall dune, a figure appeared, tall and cloaked, moving silently across the sand. Every step seemed to make no sound, yet the ground beneath it shifted slightly, as if acknowledging its presence. Lyra's breath caught, and she stepped back instinctively. Her mind screamed to run, yet her legs refused, rooted in awe and fear. The figure stopped, lifting a hand slightly, almost a greeting. She could not see its face clearly. The hood hid its features, but a faint glow reflected off something metallic beneath. A human? Or something more advanced, from the legends of old worlds? The air felt electric, as if the desert itself held its breath, waiting for her next move. "Don't be afraid," a voice said, soft but firm, carrying a weight she could feel in her chest. It was human, yet strange, as if it echoed in her mind rather than her ears. "Who are you?" she managed to whisper, though her voice trembled. The figure did not answer immediately, only extended a hand toward her, a gesture of trust, or a trap. She could not tell. Her instincts screamed that danger lurked, yet another part of her felt a strange pull, the kind that stories spoke of, when fate and courage collide. She took a cautious step forward, then another, each step heavy with suspense, each heartbeat louder than the desert wind. The figure's eyes glowed faintly beneath the hood, and in them she saw knowledge, secrets, and perhaps a hint of kindness. For the first time in her long, lonely journey, Lyra felt that her life might change. The shadow that had followed her before was not gone. It had led her here to this moment, and the desert, harsh and unforgiving, seemed ready to reveal a new chapter of her destiny. A storm of wind rose suddenly, sand whipping around her, yet the figure remained calm. It beckoned her forward, silently urging her to follow. The water she carried felt heavier now, but her resolve was stronger. She had faced danger every day for her mother, but this was different. This was the beginning of something far greater than survival, and far more dangerous. As Lyra stepped toward the stranger, a voice whispered in her mind. Not human, not fully alien, but something in between. Trust is the first step. it said. And with that, the desert seemed to part before her, the dunes stretching into a path she had never known. Her journey had changed, and the real story, the one that would test her courage, her heart, and her humanity, was about to begin. The desert stretched endlessly, red waves under the scorching sun, but Lyra's attention was fixed on the cloaked figure ahead. Every instinct in her body screamed caution, yet curiosity pressed her forward. Who was this stranger? Why had the shadow led her here? The figure paused on the crest of a dune, the wind whipping around its form. It turned slightly, and Lyra noticed a glimmer of light reflecting from under the hood, like metal kissed by the sun. Her heart raced, each beat louder than the wind, and for the first time in days, fear mixed with hope. "Why are you following me?" she asked, her voice trembling but firm. The figure did not answer immediately, only studied her silently. Then, with deliberate motion, it lowered its hood, revealing eyes that glowed faintly with an unnatural light. Lyra staggered back, heart pounding. These were not ordinary eyes, yet they were undeniably human. "I mean no harm," the stranger said, voice soft but commanding, carrying weight and authority she could feel deep in her chest. "You are in danger," it continued, eyes scanning the horizon as if reading the invisible threats in the air. "Danger far greater than you can see." Lyra's mind raced, trying to process the words, the glowing eyes, and the desert that now seemed alive with hidden watchers. Her hand clutched the water bag tighter, almost forgetting its precious cargo. "Who are you?" she asked again, but now her curiosity battled fear. The figure's gaze met hers, unwavering, and she felt a strange pull, like an invisible thread connecting their fates. "I am a traveler," the stranger said finally, "a witness to what few can see, a guardian of those who walk paths others cannot." Lyra frowned, confused, but something about the way the stranger spoke made her believe every word. Yet she could not trust blindly, not in this desert, not when shadows had already hunted her. Suddenly, the sand shifted violently beneath them, a warning from the desert itself. A deep rumble echoed in the distance, and the air grew tense. Lyra instinctively stepped back, scanning for the source. Before her, a creature emerged from the dunes, massive and menacing, its scales glinting in the sun, eyes like molten fire. It moved with speed and precision, like it knew exactly where she was. The stranger moved swiftly, a fluid motion almost too fast for the eye, standing between Lyra and the beast. With a gesture, a faint energy field shimmered around them, casting a protective glow. Lyra's breath caught. This was no ordinary human. This was something extraordinary. The creature hesitated, sensing the power radiating from the stranger. Then it snarled, retreating slightly but still circling, waiting for an opening. Lyra's fear surged, yet the stranger's calm presence steadied her. "You must trust me," the stranger said, voice low but unwavering. "I will protect you, but you must follow my instructions exactly." She nodded, heart hammering, knowing she had no other choice. The desert, once familiar, had become a battlefield, and survival depended on her courage and trust. The stranger reached into a small compartment beneath the cloak, pulling out a device that shimmered with unknown energy. It emitted a soft hum, and the sand around them began to vibrate. The creature lunged suddenly, but a bright pulse of light erupted from the device, striking the beast. It recoiled, howling in frustration, then disappeared into the dunes with terrifying speed. Lyra stared, wide-eyed, unable to speak. The stranger turned to her, calm and composed, but with intensity in those glowing eyes. "You are braver than most, yet bravery alone will not save you," it said. "Your mother, the water, and this desert, they're all connected in ways you do not understand." A chill ran down Lyra's spine, but she felt a surge of determination. She had faced danger every day for her mother, but this was something beyond survival, beyond what she had ever imagined. Her world had shifted in an instant. The familiar desert replaced with a new reality of hidden threats and mysterious allies. And the stranger, powerful and enigmatic, had become her only guide, the key to unlocking a fate she did not yet understand. As they continued across the dunes, the sun began to set, painting the sky in fiery streaks of orange and purple. Shadows grew long, and strange shapes moved just beyond the horizon. Lyra's heart thumped with both fear and excitement, knowing the journey ahead would test every ounce of her courage. And the stranger, silent but watchful, seemed to already know the trials that awaited them. The desert had changed, Lyra had changed, and the first threads of an extraordinary story were being woven. One that would reveal secrets, face dangers unimaginable, and challenge the very essence of what it meant to be human. The desert night had fallen, dark and silent, yet the shadows seemed to move with purpose. Lyra walked beside the stranger, her grip tight on the water bag, every step alert. The wind whispered secrets, carrying strange scents she had never noticed before. Her heart thumped, sensing the presence of eyes she could not see. "This desert has many watchers," the stranger said softly, voice calm but urgent. "Some are human, some are not, and some are older than this world itself." Lyra shivered, the weight of the words sinking in. She realized that her journey for water, which she thought was simple survival, was now part of something far larger and more dangerous. Suddenly, the sand shifted violently beneath them, as if something massive was moving underground. The stranger stopped, scanning the horizon with glowing eyes. "Stay close," it warned, voice sharp. "Do not stray. The danger is coming faster than you think." From the dunes ahead, shapes emerged, glowing faintly with a sinister red light. They moved silently but swiftly, their forms strange, almost humanoid yet distorted. Lyra's stomach twisted in fear, knowing these were not desert animals. They were hunters, and they had found her. The stranger stepped in front of her, hands raised, the faint hum of energy beginning to radiate around them. Lyra's heart raced as she realized the stranger's power was real. With a swift motion, pulses of light shot from the device under the cloak, forming a shield around them. The hunters hesitated, hissing and growling, but did not retreat. They circled, waiting for a chance to strike. Lyra took a shaky breath, clutching the water bag tightly. The desert felt alive, as if it were holding its breath. "Run if you must, but do not let fear control you," the stranger said. Lyra nodded, unsure whether she was ready to fight or flee. The energy shield flared brighter, and the hunters lunged, fast and terrifying. Sand exploded around them as the stranger moved with fluid precision, dodging attacks effortlessly. Lyra followed, heart hammering, every step a mix of fear and awe. The hunters were relentless, their red eyes glowing in the darkness. Every time she thought they were safe, another one appeared from the dunes, silent and deadly. Then, without warning, one hunter broke through the shield, its claws slicing the air dangerously close to Lyra. The stranger reacted instantly, placing a hand between them, and a pulse of energy knocked the creature back violently. Lyra stumbled, but stayed on her feet, watching the stranger move like a force of nature. The desert wind whipped around them, sand and energy colliding in a dazzling display. "You must learn to trust more than your eyes," the stranger said between attacks, voice steady. "They hunt with senses you cannot see, using fear against you." Lyra felt the truth in the words, understanding that courage alone was not enough. She had to believe, to act with the stranger, to survive this trial. Hours seemed to pass in minutes as they fought and ran across the dunes. The hunters, relentless yet cautious, began to retreat as dawn approached. Their red glow faded, leaving only the sound of the wind and the pounding of Lyra's heart. She fell to her knees, exhausted, but alive, the water bag still clutched tightly. The stranger stood beside her, eyes scanning the horizon, calm and unreadable. "They will return," it said finally, voice low. "And next time, they may not be so forgiving." Lyra nodded, knowing that her journey for survival had become a journey into the unknown. A journey that would test her strength, courage, and heart in ways she had never imagined. As the first light of morning painted the dunes in gold, Lyra looked at the stranger. For the first time, she felt something strange, a mix of trust, awe, and fear. The desert had revealed its dangers, yet it had also revealed a path forward. A path she could not walk alone. And as the hunters vanished into the sands, silent but not gone, Lyra knew that her life had changed forever. The desert was no longer just a place of survival. It was a battlefield, and the stranger, mysterious and powerful, had become both her protector and guide. The real challenge, the kind that would push her beyond fear, beyond human limits, was only beginning. The morning sun burned through the desert haze, casting long, shifting shadows across the red dunes. Lyra's legs ached from the night's chase, yet her mind was sharper than ever. Every instinct told her that the danger was not over. The hunters had vanished, but their presence lingered like a dark pulse beneath the sand. The stranger moved silently beside her, eyes glowing faintly, scanning every ripple of the desert. Lyra could not help but notice how different he seemed in daylight, less shadowed, yet no less mysterious. Finally, she could no longer hold back her questions. "Were you really? Why are you helping me?" she demanded, her voice trembling yet firm. The stranger stopped, the hum of energy from his device fading. He looked at her, and for a moment, there was a strange vulnerability in his glowing eyes. "My name is Kale," he said quietly. "I come from a world far beyond this one, a place where humans and machines have merged, where knowledge and power are one." Lyra blinked, trying to grasp his words. The desert suddenly felt smaller, as if the vast dunes hid secrets far larger than she could imagine. Kale continued, voice steady yet heavy with truth. "Your mother's illness is not natural, Lyra. It is linked to a virus spreading through the water on this planet, a virus designed by beings who want to control this world." Her heart skipped, and she tightened her grip on the water bag. The water that had always been her lifeline was now part of a deadly secret. Why would someone do this?" she whispered, fear and anger rising together. Kale's eyes softened, a flicker of sadness passing through them. "Because they fear what humans like you can become," he said. "You are stronger than you know, and your courage is the key to turning this world around." Lyra's mind reeled, her daily struggle now intertwined with secrets far beyond her life. She thought of her mother, lying weak and pale. The thought of losing her ignited a fire inside her, stronger than any fear of the desert or the hunters. Kale extended a hand, and for the first time, she felt the gravity of his words. "Together, we can find the source of this virus and save your mother," he said. "But the path is dangerous, and not all who appear friendly will help you." Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath them, a warning far stronger than any whisper or shadow. From the distance, shapes emerged, larger, faster, and more terrifying than the hunters from before. They moved with precision, as if guided by intelligence beyond this planet. Lyra's pulse quickened, realizing that the desert itself had become a battlefield for forces she could barely comprehend. Kale moved swiftly, forming a protective barrier of shimmering energy around them. "Stay close, Lyra," he said, voice urgent. "These are the enforcers, sent to prevent humans from uncovering the truth, to stop those who defy the creators of this virus." Her breath caught, knowing that the creatures were not mere beasts, but agents of a hidden enemy. Her courage surged, fueled by her love for her mother and the desire to survive. The enforcers circled, analyzing them with glowing eyes and sharp, metallic limbs. Each movement of Kale's hands sent pulses of energy that pushed them back, yet he did not attack lethally. "This is a test," Kale whispered. "They want to see if you have what it takes to face the trials ahead." Lyra realized then that her journey for water, the daily struggle she thought was her life, had been only the beginning. The desert, the shadows, the hunters, and now the enforcers, all had led her to this moment. Her courage, her instincts, and her determination would define whether she survived or became another victim of forces she could barely understand. As the enforcers withdrew slightly, hovering like ominous stars above the dunes, Kale placed a hand on her shoulder, firm and grounding. "You have the power to change everything," he said softly. "But you must be ready to face truths far stranger than the desert or its dangers. Your mother's life, your future, and perhaps the fate of this planet all depend on what we do next." Lyra looked at the glowing horizon, feeling fear, hope, and determination all at once. She realized that the ordinary life she had known, fetching water, caring for her mother, was gone forever. The journey had become extraordinary, dangerous, and thrilling. And as the desert wind carried whispers of hidden worlds and unseen eyes, she knew the real battle was only beginning, and every step forward would reveal secrets more powerful than she could imagine. The desert sun dipped low, painting the dunes in streaks of red and gold. Lyra's legs burned with exhaustion, but her heart raced with anticipation. Every step felt heavier, yet she could not stop. The enforcers were near, their glowing eyes visible on the horizon, moving faster than the wind. Kale's energy field shimmered faintly around them, a thin but powerful shield. "Stay close," he commanded, voice calm but urgent. "They know our every move, yet they do not understand human courage." Lyra nodded, gripping her water bag like a weapon. Her fear had not vanished, but determination burned brighter, stronger than the desert sun. Suddenly, the ground quaked violently, sending sand flying in every direction. A massive enforcer leaped from a nearby dune, taller and faster than any Lyra had seen. Its metallic limbs gleamed, its glowing eyes fixed on them. Kale moved instinctively, a pulse of energy shooting toward the creature, but it dodged with inhuman speed. Lyra's breath caught as she realized they were facing not one, but a dozen of these relentless hunters. The desert seemed to twist around them, dunes shifting unnaturally. Kale grabbed Lyra's hand, pulling her behind a ridge for cover. "Trust me," he said firmly. "You are braver than most, but now you must act, not just survive." Her pulse raced, adrenaline surging as she realized that every decision, every movement could mean life or death. The enforcers circled, their movements precise, like predators hunting their prey. Lyra's mind spun, but she focused on Kale, on his instructions, on the small device glowing faintly at his side. With a swift gesture, Kale activated the device, sending a dome of pulsating light into the sand. The enforcers recoiled, snarling and screeching, yet they were not defeated. They adapted quickly, probing for weaknesses in the energy shield, testing their opponent. Lyra's heart pounded as Kale turned to her, eyes blazing with intensity. "You must help me," he said urgently. "Place your hand on the device and focus your will. Channel your courage into it." She hesitated, fear threatening to paralyze her, but then she thought of her mother, weak and dependent. Every step she had taken, every danger she had faced, had led her to this moment. She nodded, placing her trembling hand on the glowing device, feeling energy surge through her. The dome expanded, rippling with power stronger than Kale's alone. The enforcers shrieked, their glowing forms flickering as if resisting an invisible force. Lyra felt a strange strength coursing through her, courage turning into something tangible. For the first time, she realized that she could fight back, not just run or hide. The largest enforcer lunged at them, metallic limbs flashing in the dim light. Lyra and Kale acted in perfect synchrony, energy pulses colliding with the creature. The impact sent sand flying, blinding and chaotic, yet precise. The creature roared, staggering back, then vanished into the dunes with a deafening screech. The other enforcers paused, circling warily, before retreating into the shadows. The desert returned to its uneasy silence, yet it felt different, changed, as if acknowledging Lyra's courage. Breathing heavily, Lyra sank to her knees, exhausted but triumphant. Kale placed a firm hand on her shoulder, a faint smile in his glowing eyes. "You have proven yourself," he said softly. "Not just brave, but capable of wielding power few humans can imagine." Lyra looked up at the horizon, realizing that the desert, the hunters, and the enforcers had all been tests. Every danger, every shadow, had been preparing her for this moment. The sun disappeared below the dunes, casting long, twisting shadows across the sand. Lyra stood, her gaze steady, determination burning brighter than ever. The journey was far from over. The virus, the mysteries of the desert, and the fate of her mother still lay ahead. But for the first time, she felt truly ready, ready to face whatever dangers the desert, or the universe, might throw at her. As the night settled over the dunes and distant stars began to shine, Lyra and Kale moved forward together, no longer just survivor and stranger, but allies, warriors, bound by courage and purpose. The real trials, the hidden truths, and the ultimate revelations were yet to come. And the story of Lyra, the girl who dared to face the impossible, had only begun. The night sky stretched above the desert, stars glittering like distant fires. Lyra's legs ached, her hands trembled, yet her mind was sharper than ever. The journey had brought her here, to the edge of a hidden canyon, glowing faintly with an otherworldly light. Kale stopped, scanning the area, energy rippling subtly around him. "This is it," he said, voice calm but heavy with meaning. "The source of the virus that has been poisoning your world, your mother, and countless others, lies ahead." Lyra's heart pounded, equal parts fear and determination. The canyon glowed with strange symbols etched into the rock, pulsing with energy. She could feel the power radiating from it, a force older than the desert itself. "This place, it's alive," she whispered, awe and terror mixing in her voice. Kale nodded, eyes glowing brighter. "Alive and dangerous," he said. "The beings who created the virus infused it with part of themselves, their knowledge, their will. They will not let us leave easily. Yet you are the key, Lyra. Your courage and humanity can undo what they have done." Suddenly, the air thickened, and the enforcers returned, more numerous and relentless than ever. Red light flashed across the canyon walls as they advanced, their metallic limbs slicing the air. Lyra stepped back, heart racing, yet she felt a strange calm. The desert had tested her, Kale had trained her, and now she understood that fear was only the beginning of courage. Kale activated the device again, the hum rising, the energy expanding around them. "You must place your hand on the core, focus everything you feel, love, fear, hope, courage, into it," he instructed. Lyra hesitated for only a heartbeat, then nodded, placing her hands on the glowing surface. Power surged through her, the symbols on the canyon walls flaring in response. The enforcers lunged, but energy pulses from Lyra and Kale pushed them back, halting them in midair. Memories of her mother's frail face, the long journeys for water, the shadow that had followed her, all flooded Lyra's mind. Every trial, every danger, every choice she had made culminated in this moment. She focused, letting every emotion, love, fear, courage, merge with the energy of the device. The canyon trembled, light spiraling outward. The virus, the enforcers, the desert's hidden dangers, they all reacted, faltering, retreating, unraveling. Lyra gasped, feeling a connection she had never known. The desert seemed to hum, alive and aware. Kale watched her closely, pride shining in his glowing eyes. "You are more than survival, Lyra," he whispered. You are the bridge between humanity and the forces that shape this world. The enforcers vanished into the shadows, their red lights flickering, defeated but not destroyed. The virus core pulsed one final time, then dimmed, inert and harmless. Lyra stepped back, breathing heavily, the weight of the desert's secrets lifting from her shoulders. Kale placed a hand on hers, steadying her. Your mother will live, and this planet has a chance to heal, he said softly. The rest of the journey is yours to choose. But remember, courage changes everything. As the first light of dawn touched the canyon, Lyra felt a deep sense of triumph and transformation. The girl who once risked her life simply for water had become a force capable of altering destiny. She looked out across the desert, no longer fearful of shadows or hunters, for she had faced the impossible, conquered fear, and discovered the strength within her. Kale turned to leave, mysterious as ever, yet his presence felt permanent. You have begun a new story, he said, voice fading into the wind. Remember, the universe watches those who dare to act with courage. Lyra nodded, eyes bright, knowing that her journey was far from over. The desert, the stars, the unseen dangers, they would always be there. But she was ready, stronger, wiser, and unafraid. As she began the long walk home, carrying water and hope, Lyra realized that every shadow she had faced, every risk she had taken, was a step towards something greater than survival. It was a step toward becoming the hero she was always meant to be. And the desert, vast and mysterious, seemed to shine back at her, as if acknowledging that courage, love, and determination could change not just one life, but the fate of worlds.